the one thing you're not supposed to do. It's like, if you concede to me, I'll give you back. That's the one thing you can't do. Just play the game. Also, don't do it when I'm standing right behind you. Because it's literally the only thing. Like, you can do that, or you can just, like, punch someone, or you can call someone, like, all the things. All the things that you can get in trouble for at, like, a casual event are, like, the most egregious things possible. Like, murder someone, like, throw someone's cat into the river.
Alright, so game 1 underway here. Joseph Deal's first play is going to be a 2-3. No, that's the 2-2 with Constellation. He did have to rip that plains off the top of his deck, as previously he just had 2 forests. Nick not missing the land drop either. We'll see if he can come up with a answer. Said Scorpion really not what he's looking for, but it will do the job here. Joseph Fine offering up the trade. Said Scorpion doing his job. Stonewise Fortifier was the card that just bit the dust. Dying valiantly, fighting against a Scorpion. The Crow and Skyguard, the follow-up play for Joseph. One of the better heroic cards. Nick going to go ahead and enchant his land with the double Fertile Ground. So now he'll be able to tap for 3 mana. Now if Joseph has a way to enchant his dude, and he does, here's a 4-ball. As we get 1 from the heroic trigger and 2 from the enchantment.
You're being crazy now.
So 4/4 flyer, not too shabby, especially against an empty board. There's a revoke existence on the Feral Invocation. Damage may have already been done though, as this Crow and Skyguard has grown into a 2/2. 2-ball coming in. And there is the Blade of the Sixth Pride reprint, the 3/1 with a wall of flavor text. Not as pretty of a card, but still going to do the exact same thing. Against an empty board, just going to deal 3 damage. Here he comes. That's 5 coming at you. Joseph's follow-up play after his attack was a Ferris Band Thunderhoof, which is, if he gets targeted, then he gets 2 +1/+1 counters. So Nick going to take a hit of 8 from the 3/4 plus the 5 Joseph already had on board. Joseph going to follow up with a 2/1, and he now has hexproof. Game-winning play. Joseph Deal having hexproof. I don't know why that card exists, but for some reason we need a Leyline of Sanctity on a creature. Here it is. Nick unfortunately drawn a lot of land. Don't know if he's going to be able to make his way out of this, as he's going to have to come up with 4 blockers and only has 1 life. Well, this is the peril of playing naturalized effects in your Theros deck. Joseph going to untap, not even look at the card, and just shove in. This could be the last one of the night, folks. Midnight pre-release, coming down to this, round 3, facing off 2 green-white decks. Turn 1 Sedge Scorpion from Nick. Going to get the beats in. So Nick getting to add both a creature and a source of mana to his side of the board, which is about as good as this card's going to get, as next turn it can either attack for 2 or tap to add mana. So Joseph Deal's hexproof again, guys. Don't worry, everything's taken care of. Joseph Deal is hexproof. He also has a 2-1 for 1, or 2-1 for 2. Here's 2 mana. Is this an ordeal? Nope, that's an Acron Skyguard of his own. 2 more mana. Gonna go ahead and put a Ordeal of Nylea on it. Sedge Scorpion feeling a little bit frisky. He's going to come into the red zone. Nick feeling like he's ahead enough, and it surely looks like he is. Joseph Deal pulling off what we call a combo, which is having an enchantment in play and playing a Laguna Band Elder. So he's going to go back up to 21. Still doesn't have an answer to that Acron Skyguard on the board. And without going to his sideboard, you can assume that no cards like Sky Reaping or anything like that came in. There's the Constellation card that lets you draw a card. So the Ordeal trigger is going to tick up. It looks like the team's going to start blocking for Joseph. We're going to get some trades in with some creatures with less power than the creatures we had. But it looks like Joseph's okay to be doing this. 1, 2, 3 from the Acron Skyguard. Going to drop Joseph back down to 18. Leaving him with an empty board after all said and done. And next turn, this Skyguard is going to be able to attack for 4, fetch up 2 lands, and Nick should have no more mana problems for the rest of the game. So we're going to Constellation, prevent the damage done to our Acron Skyguard. Doesn't prevent the damage that it deals, but it does prevent the damage that it does. So Nick going to get his Ordeal trigger, fetch up some lands out of his library. Damage is going to happen. He's going to take 6. And then for some awkward shuffling and cutting from both players. Turn's going to go back over to Joseph. See if he has a way to start digging himself out of that. There's the Fairies Band Thunderhoof again. Just a reminder, that's a 5 mana 3/4 that gets 2+1/+1 counters on it for its heroic trigger. Also got some sweet art on it, as it's just a big centaur, chick, with a big old club bashing a dude. Nick tapping 6. And there's the Constellation Trample. So Nick remembering all of his Constellation triggers here in his what is clearly a Constellation deck of sorts. We're going to prevent the damage dealt to a Crow and Skyguard. We're going to draw a card. Looks like we're chumping Skyguard on Skyguard. We are going to eat the card drawing into the naked setup. Drop Joseph down to 10. So Joseph's setting up a turn here. He has the 3-4. Whenever it gets targeted, it's going to become a 5-6. And if that's a feral invocation in his hand, and I think that it is, that's going to become a 7-8. So if he can survive a couple of turns, this 7-8 is going to quickly become a big threat. And to be honest with you, if it's not a threatening part of the board, then there's not much Joseph Deal has left. I think the rest of his hand is just forests. We have the fertile ground going back on the forest. We got all the mana in the world. So here's the enchantment that gives our dude double strike. So the enchantment that Nick put on his creature is kind of like a pacifism effect. It prevents all damage dealt if the creature is not an enchantment. However, Nick's creature is an enchantment, so that creature gets a double strike. Also triggers all these constellation effects. Joseph going to go down to 2, untap, draw. So Joseph ended up drawing his promo card there on the last turn. Still going to excuse me, as I've just coughed into the microphone. So Joseph Deal going down to 6. We'll see if he can keep this. He does have many force in his hand. Nick going to lead off with the plains. No set Scorpion this time. Joseph found a plains off the top, which is important because the rest of his hand was just forests. This is a Skyguard. There it is. Turn 2 Skyguard. There is a creature with flying and vigilance, as I've heard from the peanut gallery. I guess I'm the peanut gallery. They're the actual gallery. Eagle of the Watch. 2/1 flying vigilance. Ordeal of Thassa. Going to come down and make this Crow and Skyguard quite big. It's a 3/3 already. poke you for 2. And we're going to get a nice little 2 for 1 here with our Banishing Light / Oblivion Ring. So Joseph, having no fear of Joseph having no fear of God's willing there, just going for the creature over the enchantment. Seems like a right play. More importantly, Joseph going for the Mentos as his late night plan, trying to stay awake. There's the pacifism effect. So now all this now this 2/1 Flying Vigilance that Joseph has will not be able to deal damage. Joseph finding his promo card, 2/4 Flying Lifelink with +1/+1 counter heroic trigger. There's that Naturalize effect. So we're going to get our Skyguard back, but it may be too late here now that Joseph has a much larger, much more efficient creature in play. Joseph going to serve him for 2. There's the +1/+1 indestructible. So Joseph just going to gain 2 out of the whole ordeal. The Crow and Skyguard is going to love to see another day. Joseph now has hexproof. It has been established. And he has a 3/1 for 1. Or 3/1 for 2. Here is 5 mana. Whatever this is, it better be coming down to take care of something on this board. There's a Hydra. I don't know what that Hydra is, but that's a Hydra. Well, that would be Hero's Bane. Enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. And for 4 mana, you can double its power, basically. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is its power. So, as it stands right now, for 4 mana, it could become an 8/8. And for 4 more mana, it could become a 16/16. Joseph going to come in for 2 with the promo card of his. There's the 4 mana Cycler. And if Nick can find some more enchantments, they'll be cycling too. We're gonna attack for 2. I'm not completely sold that anything was better there than putting 4 +1/+1 counters on our Hydra was better. But I don't know what's in Nick's hand. Forgive me, as I do have to get these players to update their life totals correctly, as Joseph did take 2 last turn. Just for 17, correct? For 17, correct?
No, I gave you like some still debatable.
So another creature dies, which got taps as a creature for combat.
It was 7 attack now, you have to have to sort of get 2/3 down to 3. We're at 7 on setting an alarm and the last one too. I didn't mark it. Okay. So that's next year. Okay,
So I got the life totals figured out. And we play an enchantment, gets us another card in hand. And here's the Hero's Bane coming in for 8. A Crone Skyguard gonna tag along with it. So these players figuring out that the damage prevention is just one way. That the Hydra won't receive damage, but the other creature definitely will. And there's 2 damage coming in from the Skyguard. Joseph coming in with all the boys. The 3/1, the 3/4, and the 2/4. These are the blocks, so Joseph just going to go ahead and feign passing priority. And if Nick doesn't have anything, then it is going to be that. These creatures will just trade. I don't think that's what Joseph's in the market for, unless he has an answer to this 8/8. This is the point where I wanted Nick to do this a turn earlier, because this no longer needs to happen. This creature does not need to become any bigger than what it is. Like, it's now a 16/16, and that does not make any difference. Unless we have a way to give it trample, all it's going to do is eat 1 creature every turn until Joseph dies. We could have used that 4 mana somewhere else. So Joseph has drawn a creature. It's a Tromper. More likely, it's a chump blocker. So Joseph thinking he can race here. It's going to be hard whenever Nick gets to also just play creatures at will. Nick going to go ahead and make this guy a 32. He's having fun out there, that's for sure. It's not every day you get to attack with a 32-32. Also, this 32-32 is not going to be staying back. I don't understand what's going on. As Nick is now at 5 life and dead to any +2/+2 pump spell that Joseph finds on top of his deck. So with all of his dudes back, Joseph feels pretty safe in this position.
Okay, we're just getting
Really? Double purple?
That's actually pretty good. That actually makes a lot of sense.
If you play red green, like if I had
So there's a 64-64 in play now.
because like with those Drew right?
No attacks. And there it is.
Strive, double strive.
Was that? Oh no, I thought that was it's a +2 pump spell.
And you resort to play a decent curve with some fatties. And try to like sneak them through.
Joseph trying to figure out what he wants to do with this white card that he's drawn. I'd say now the onus is on Nick to try to figure out a way to close this game out. Looks like Joseph had drawn an oppressive rage for the turn, which really doesn't do much. All it's going to do is tax Nick's mana just a little bit.
I know, there's no way I can play around that now. Impressive raise. Chanting creature can't attack or block this.
So Joseph's going to make a tricky little move here. He's going to oppressive raise, targeting his own guy. So he has to pay 3 for it to attack, but it is going to get a +1/+1 counter. Nick feels compelled to block. Life total's going to swing.
Wasn't special. They put another +1/+1 counter on it. It means that instead of having to attack
I'm doing.
Careful, George.
Yep.
So Nick trying to figure out what has happened. He's now facing down a 3/5 and a 1/1 that he can't block, And as it stands, Joseph is ahead on board. It's hard to say that whenever the other player has a 64-64 in play.
Do it. To see how big you can hit it. We got it.
So now we have a 128, 128.
Okay, there we go.
This is definitely the biggest creature we've ever had on stream. Both these players trying to figure out if this irrelevant creature can become any larger. I don't know if it can. I don't know if it matters. So Joseph's just going to pal in here for 3. Make it 4. Nick says nothing I can do. And there's Grizzly Bear. Yep, the Fortifier does not have enough mana to activate, but if it did, it would be able to prevent all damage dealt to it by a creature. Seems pretty good against the 128, 128. As Joseph can now untap and have a infinite blocker.
Did you do that? No way! No way! That is game, baby! Oh wait, double.
So you can hear.
256. That is a 256 +1/+1 counters on one fucking creature.
We're just going to go ahead and mark these life totals here.
Oh my god.
I just let that happen.
I can't believe that just happened.
Always tell her. Alright, guys, hope you enjoyed that thing. We're done. Nick won in dramatic fashion. See you guys later.